Global production of cassava is forecast to reach 275 million metric tons by 2020. At present, Africa accounts for 57% of global output. Ghana is the number 2 producer of cassava in Africa and the 5th largest in the world. The cassava value chain in Ghana comprises of a range of stakeholders, including cassava root farmers, aggregators, producers, processors, exporters and transporters, as well as companies that provide support services. Over 70% of smallholder farmers in the country are engaged in cassava cultivation.
Virtually every rural community has got a portion of land to grow cassava. And there are a lot of varieties which have been developed by CSIR and then RTIP, which we are not taking advantage of. Why? Because the subsistency of the system, we just grow to eat, not looking at how we're going to process it into other forms of raw material for other industries.
Within the Eddie Ibrahim, my family did advice farms. Me wo a full 15 acres. 15 acres, you know. Every 1 acre be a you harvest 2 times a year. 1 acre be it me harvest 5 tons.
In 2018, cassava production totaled 20.8 million metric tons. Cassava is one of the 5 priority crops earmarked for promotion in Ghana's medium-term agriculture sector investment program, which details the roadmap for the comprehensive African agricultural development program in the country.
I'm Janet Makesi, the MD of Josma Agro Industries. I had a visit to Brazil that was sponsored by RTIP, so it's government and then IFAD program. And I saw how they were also working very hard on cassava. We were doing only gari and just the peels and the starch on a small scale. But then when we came back, RTIP trained us to do HQCF. We produced this for quite a few schools and companies who needed it. But we didn't progress on it because our capacity was very low. Big companies came here, some took our products outside to check on its quality. And it turned out our quality was good because we were doing it the proper way. But then we had a very low capacity to produce the HQCF. So the big companies that needed bigger supplies came, appreciated our work, but never came back for supply because we couldn't meet their demands.
So my name is Chris Kwashi. I'm the founder and acting managing director of Caltech Ventures. Caltech stands for Cassava Accord Technology. We process cassava into ethanol and carbon dioxide. The primary feedstock is cassava because it's the cheapest source of starch for our purposes. For me, cassava then is the transformational crop. Apart from ethanol, carbon dioxide, you can do over 50 industrial products, from glucose to starch, sorbitol, to biodegradable plastics, modified starch. I mean, it's a whole slew of products which cassava can produce. And Ghana has a comparative advantage in terms of our ability to grow cassava at a cost which is competitive globally. And we have a surplus of cassava for food. We have 17 million tons of cassava produced every year, out of which we eat about 5 or 6 million tons. So we have about 12 million tons sitting there, which can be processed into industrial products.
Cassava exports have fluctuated in recent years in both value and volume terms. For example, ethanol exports increased from 2.6 million in 2012 to 22.5 million in 2015, but fell sharply to $7.4 million in 2017. Meanwhile, gari exports slumped from $2.9 million in 2012 to $75,000 in 2014, but recovered to $3 million in 2017. Ghana's major export trade partners are France, Germany, Hong Kong Special Administrative Region, China, the Republic of Korea, and the United States of America. In general, trade opportunities exist for cassava products. However, Ghanaian exporters have not been able to take full advantage of this potential.
The opportunities in the cassava value chain is enormous. There are opportunities such as people might not show interest only in the chips, but show interest in the starchy aspect of it and other byproducts of cassava. Even quite recently, somebody even proposed to me the skin, the dry skin of the cassava, even they want. But all these things comes with liquidities and how you organize yourself well. So cassava, I think, has a good future.
Interest rates in Ghana range from 12 to 30%. Several financing models have been established with the aim of reducing the interest burden on agriculture sector value chain stakeholders.
In the cassava value chain, if you look at the producers, those who cultivate cassava, under the Cassava Enterprise Project, Ghana Exim Bank is providing medium to long-term funding for them to be able to cultivate the cassava and supply to processors. Under the Cassava Enterprise Project, 12 beneficiaries have been financed to do that. Now, secondly, too, we provide long-term funding for those who are setting up factories to either produce ethanol, to produce starch or high-quality cassava flour. We provide them long-term funding up to 6 to 7 years, sometimes even 8 years, to be able to set up the factory, have a nucleus farm, and then also provide them some working capital to be able to operate. Now, thirdly, in the cassava value chain, those who are already producing and have export orders for their starch, for all the other cassava derivatives, and will need working capital funding. We have a facility called Export Trade Facility. Under this facility, working capital funding are available for them to be able to meet those export orders. I won't say Ghana Exim Bank has enough to fully finance the entire cassava value chain due to the size of the industry and then the huge export potential. But our CEO, Mr. Lawrence Ajinsam, is currently the chairperson for Global Network of Exim and International Development Organizations. And through that, he's been able to establish good network with international organizations who are interested in supporting the cassava value chain. Currently, we have a such relationship with Thai Exim Bank. We are looking at collaborating with them to provide the necessary funding to the cassava value chain. How would the collaboration be? Where if clients want to import machinery from Thailand to be able to process here and they don't have the funding, Ghana Exim Bank could provide the guarantee whilst the machine is funded by Thai Exim Bank. This collaboration will enable us to be able to fund the cassava value chain, and where we don't do that direct funding, we could provide guarantee, leverage on our partners who have the bigger financial capacity to be able to fully support the cassava sector.